the Army very little to perform this operation. "Find some other benefactor to pay for it," Captain Soames said. "If it becomes known that the Army is treating charity cases, we'll have lines stretching to the Embarcadero and complaints about favoritism." "Or it might improve our reputation with the city." "Find a way to pay for it, Nurse Bennett. Then maybe I'll hear your request." "How am I to pay for it when you pay me scarcely half what you pay the male attendants?" The captain heard the veiled accusation in her tone. "The night nurses get paid less because you do little more than babysit sleeping patients. Of course, we aren't going to pay you the same salary as the staff during the day. If you don't like your job here, then quit. If you aren't earning what you need, then quit. If you don't like the way I run the hospital, then quit. Is that clear, Nurse Bennett?" She met Captain Soames's glower with her chin held high. "Quite clear. The Army must be proud their officers can express themselves so forcefully and without resorting to bothersome courtesy." Captain Soames let out a bark of gruff laughter. He'd had a grudging respect for her since the time he saw her tackle a soldier trying to steal morphine from a supply cabinet. While most nurses hailed from respectable families, Jenny grew up along San Francisco's waterfront and wasn't intimidated by unruly soldiers. Although she liked to pretend it didn't exist, a streetwise toughness from her youth still lurked just beneath her prim, starched uniform. Captain Soames threw down his pencil and looked at her in frustration. "Why don't you just get married like a normal woman? Then you won't have to work 6 days a week and still scrounge for money to do a kid a favor." Jenny tried not to blanch, even though she'd heard the question plenty of times over the years. She'd fallen in love once, and it had been a disaster. The most humiliating thing was that even after receiving Ryan Gallagher's terse letter, she couldn't shake free of his memory. Something about it didn't seem right. Maybe it was just her reluctance to face the truth, but she feared something very bad had happened to Ryan, and he was trying to shield her from it. She had clung to that foolish hope for years, even pressuring her friend at the payroll office for information on his whereabouts. All Vivian had been able to tell her was that Ryan's address had been kept confidential for his entire career in the military, but she later learned he had resigned from the Navy early last year. His official forwarding address was now in a tiny fishing village near San Diego. Jenny could no longer delude herself. As a civilian, Ryan was completely free to contact her if he wished. San Diego was only a day's travel by train, and still, she heard nothing from him. "I have no plans for marriage at this time," she told Captain Soames. There had been no one else for her since Ryan, and too many men had let her down over the years. Only Simon was different. She and Simon both knew what it was to be homeless and hungry. Since the day he took her under his wing when she was a 9-year-old street urchin, they had always looked out for each other. The gritty world of San Francisco looked askance at a middle-aged man befriending a pretty young girl, so she'd taken to referring to Simon as her father from the very beginning. For all intents and purposes, Simon Bennett was her father, the only father she'd ever known. She even took his last name because Bennett sounded solid and respectable. He fed her when she was hungry, made sure she went to school every day, and consoled her when kids in the neighborhood taunted her because they knew where she came from. During the boom years, it was Simon who paid for her to attend nursing school. The boom years were long over, and now Simon needed help. Last month, his jewelry shop had been robbed.